A few nights later, Louise said, "I hear something outside." And out the door she went. "Roxy is here," she called back, "and she wants to come down from the roof. But Kulak is here." I went out to the porch to see what was going on. Roxy would step down to the top of the ladder and then retreat back to the roof, seemingly not willing to face Kulak. "Why, Roxy, I'm surprised at you," I said. "I thought you knew how to handle Kulak." I took the big dog by the collar to lead him to his kennel. As soon as Roxy saw me take Kulak off the porch, she started down the ladder. Before I returned to the house, she had slipped through the door into the kitchen. Roxy was making her usual tour of inspection, so I sat down on the floor to see what she would do. Immediately, she ran over to me. Rising up on her hind legs, she reached into my jacket pocket for peanuts. I began stroking her back, her head, and her neck. She enjoyed the massage as much as always. There could be no doubt that this was Roxy, my favorite pet. Not another raccoon in the world would suddenly appear out of darkness on a roof, climb down the ladder, scamper through the group of cats, slip fearlessly through the door into our kitchen, fish peanuts out of my pockets, and then allow me to fondle her as one would a house cat. "Here, Roxy, here's your dinner," Louise called, placing a bowl on the floor. Roxy scampered across the kitchen and dived both forepaws into the bowl of her favorite food. She ate greedily, but in a few minutes she stopped suddenly, looked back to me. She ran back to fish for more peanuts, and then returned to the bowl of food. She did this several times before she finished her meal. She stayed with us for about an hour and would have stayed longer, but I would have to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I felt I had given her all the time I could. We put the little lady out into the cold night. Toward the end of March, Luis urged me to get the old pen fixed up so we could put Roxy back under control for her second family. I knew that the new palace wouldn't keep her from wandering. I moved the old cottage out of the new yard and around to one side of the old cage so that the two yards would be totally separate. Then I cleaned out the old straw and put in fresh supply. Soon everything was ready for Roxy. Luis caught her easily, and we put her back in her familiar home. With her second pregnancy, Roxy went through the same kind of temper tantrums we had endured the year before. In her new family, she had five babies, four girls and one boy. When they were old enough to be taken from their mother, we offered them to interested families for pets. Four of the five were chosen, leaving Roxy with one daughter. In late August, Robert and I decided to turn the two raccoons loose. First, we fed them. When they had finished eating, I stood on the top of the cottage holding a camera. Robert opened the gate, which was made of wire, like the rest of the fence, and stepped to one side. Roxy knew what an open gate meant, and she lost no time in going out. She was in no hurry to run away, though. She ambled around in the grass, sniffing here and there. Finally, she climbed over the pasture fence and up into the big cottonwood tree, her usual first move toward freedom. An old dead branch had fallen and caught in the crotch of the tree next to it, so that it formed a bridge between the two trees. Roxy scampered across the bridge, back down the second tree, and jumped to the roof of a nearby shed. She bounced back and forth along the shed roof, apparently in the sheer joy of being free again. The half-grown daughter seemed confused by what was going on. She stood inside the pen, not knowing what to do. So Robert went inside the cage to drive the youngster toward the open gate. He would not let the little raccoon run back toward the cottage, but kept crowding her toward the gate. Finally, she made a flying leap, extending her feet to grasp what she expected to be the wire fence. But no wire was there. She fell to the ground just outside the gates with a thud, rolled to her feet, and dashed back through the open gate to the safety of the pen. Robert would not let her past him. In another moment, she tried another leap with the same result. It was really amusing to watch the confused little animal learning that the wire was no longer there. It had always where it had always been. Robert kept crowding the young raccoon, so she made another leap, intending to get as high on the wire as possible. This time she landed far out on the grass, beyond the bare ground. The feel of grass under her feet must have awakened her to the fact that she was in a world different from anything she had ever known before. Around the outside of the pen she scampered, and over the pasture fence. She scrambled up the big cottonwood tree as if she had been climbing trees all her life. Reaching the crotch of the first limb, the youngster crowded down in it. I guess she was not sure she could keep from falling if she tried to move. Roxy scurried from the shed, up the second tree, back across the bridge to the big cottonwood tree, and down to where her daughter was huddled. I'm sure she wanted to encourage the youngster. As Roxy came near, the frightened little one growled and snapped at her. I could just imagine her saying, Mama, stay away from me. You'll make me fall if you don't watch out. Off Roxy ran, bouncing up one limb after another. Soon she returned to her daughter, only to have the youngster refuse to move. I don't know how many times this scene was repeated. I took some pictures of the two raccoons in the tree. All I know for sure is that the next morning, both of them were gone.